So the truck had been a good truck for many years. Close to 10 years, I think, if I'm remembering right. Something around there. When I first got it, I got it because it was a good deal, and then not long after that, I met my wife, and she had, not so good vehicles, to start off her life, and just make sure it's still going here. Yep. So she needed a good vehicle, something a little more stable, and I like driving my old truck, so I turned the truck over to her, and that was her truck to drive for many years. But the truck, it never let us down back then. It was little things went wrong. I fixed them. I kept it patched up. Kept it going, and it always had a nice shine to the paint. It always cleaned up, pretty nice. And I kept it going for her. It's a very reliable vehicle, and when we moved up here to Maine, it was a crucial part of, a tool of getting us up here. We didn't rent a U-Haul, nothing like that. That truck made I don't know how many trips. At least I think 5 or 6 trips. I could remember, I don't know. I don't remember stuff to detail like that, but my mind's not clear on this whole thing, but I'm gonna do my best to get out what happened to the truck. I was getting ready to make a trip, about a 6-hour ride each way, and in the driveway, it always came back to the blue truck, because at the time it was the only thing that had overdrive and fuel injected, and it was decent on gas. On the highway, it was great on gas for what it was. It had close to 250,000 miles, and so I was getting ready for this trip, and I did some stuff. I did a bunch of work to the truck again. I pulled it in the garage. I think maybe I talked about it in that other video. I scored a nice set of tires for it and wheels. Got them off a truck that was brought in for junk down there. They were almost like brand new Wild Peak 265s, what the truck should have always had on it. I did brand new brakes in the front. I had to do the calipers and everything. Pads, rotors, calipers. I put the nice slotted rotors in the front. I did a bunch of little things. I swapped out some parts from other trucks that I had junked, and interior pieces and stuff like that. Gave it another detail, another cleanup, and it was ready to go. And I hopped in that truck, and right on the highway, it liked about 68 miles an hour. Cruise control set the whole time, great on gas, ran great down there. I drove the truck around, did some things I had to do. in fact, I picked up a transmission for the camper on that trip. It was just one of the things that I was doing. And so, cut to the chase. So when I was driving home, I started noticing the oil pressure gauge kind of go down real low and then come back up. And I thought, well, a lot of the gauges were a little screwy in that truck, like they all are. And I didn't really think anything of it. So, kept driving, was running fine. Then I pulled through a toll booth, and I was paying the lady the toll, and I put the window. Now I think it was raining or something. Might have been, or it was cold. I don't really remember, but I had the window up, the music on, thinking nothing of it. Well, when I put the window down to give the lady the money, I heard a real loud clacking, and it sounded like, the lifters on the engine. So the lifters did make noise sometimes, and that thing kind of had a mind of its own. Some days it would make noise, some days it was quiet as a mouse. I always kept the oil changed. I had just changed it again. I put the best oil in there. And so I got off at the next rest area, and I got out, and it seemed like it was idling just a little bit off, not really that bad. It smelled a little funny out the tailpipe, but not anything to be concerned about. Maybe a cat that was getting hot or something like that. Something to expect out of an older vehicle like that anyway, but I had never really smelt it before in that. So the oil pressure gauge was reading low and it was making noise. I shut it down, I checked the oil. It was down maybe half a quart, but I put it in because I had it with me. So I topped it off. I went inside, I took a leak at the rest area, I came back out, started it up, oil pressure went back up, no noise. So I said, well, all right. Got back on the highway, started driving again. Well, with about a little less than an hour to get home, I was cruising in the middle lane. Actually, we're only 2 lanes up there. But anyway, I was cruising 70 miles an hour. Cruise control was set. The thing had plenty of power. Smooth, nothing. Oil pressure gauge was fine. Everything was fine. So all of a sudden, boom, the truck shuts down. Just completely shuts off. So I roll over to the side of the highway, and I'm in pretty much middle of nowhere. There's no exits for miles and miles and miles. Once you get up that far. Crank, 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 nothing. So, what do? To me, there's plenty of gas in it. Seemed like the damn fuel pump quit to me. But, it didn't lock up. The engine didn't seize up. It was still cranking over. Everything sounded fine like that, but it just wouldn't fire. So I said, well, it's nothing that I'm going to do anything about here on the side of the highway. So I ended up, of course, my trailer's sitting here, dually's sitting there. In fact, I think it might have even been hooked up to the trailer at that point. But I got no one to bring it to me, so I can load the truck up, tow it home. About an hour to get home, from there. I tried calling a couple of people that, you think are friends, but when it comes down to it, they don't want to help. I don't blame my wife at all. She doesn't, drive that much, and she's not a big fan of driving on the highway as it is that far, and she definitely has never towed my trailer, never done anything like that. So I don't blame her one single bit for not wanting to do it. So I ended up calling, there's a guy in town, right in town here, that has just an older guy, and he's got a couple old tow trucks, and he's got a ramp truck and a wrecker, and he doesn't do much anymore, but he does have a towing company. I got a hold of him. I told him where I was, and I actually had to walk way up on the side of the road to find the mile marker where I was, because I didn't know where I was to tell him, so that way he could tell me how much it was going to be. So he said that it was going to be roughly $250. He would come pick me up. Of course, I could ride with him and everything. So I said, whatever. Got to do what I got to do at this point. So I waited, and he came down. So when I walked up to find the mile marker, it was a long walk, and a lady stopped, and in fact, she was drinking Budweiser bottles in her car after work going home, and she was just partying in the car. It's how it is up here. And she was laughing. She said, "What are you doing?" And I told her what I had to do, and she said, I got in the car, and she went in reverse and backed up all the way down the highway and dropped me back off at the truck. And she would have gave me a ride home, but I had to wait there with the truck. So that was pretty funny. And so the guy finally gets there. We load it up, take it home. Ended up to be $225. So paid him cash, got it back to the driveway. Went out the next day, and I did a few things, to determine, confirm anyway that it was the fuel pump. And sure enough, I sprayed some ether in the air cleaner. It fired up for a second. I checked the fuel pressure. It was not getting fuel. The fuel pump was not turning on. I confirmed it. Thought somebody was here, but guess not. So I said, all right, well, got to order a fuel pump for it. I've already did it twice in that truck since we owned it. It's not uncommon in those trucks for the fuel pumps to go. So I ordered one, and it's going to be a couple days. So waited for it. A lot cheaper online than it was at the parts store. So waited for the fuel pump, and this time I decided, instead of fighting with the fuel tank and all that crap like I did last time, I just cut the old flap right in the bed. There's a spot. There's actually a million people have done it. There's an actual measurement, and I just measured it out. Took the angle grinder, cut a flap. You open it up. There's the fuel pump right there. You knock the ring off, take it out a couple lines. It's a 10-15 minute job. So the fuel pump comes in. I already had the hole cut. I already had the old one out. All I did was go out there, flop the new one in there, hooked it up, put the key on, fuel pump comes on, great. Start it up. Starts up, starts idling really bad. Real bad, I'm talking seconds, and clunks out. So I try to crank it again, and it's not starting. Sounds like something that doesn't have any compression. said, this is weird. So, looking at some things, thinking about some things, and I don't know why. I guess it's just something that people do. I mean, I don't even know why I did it and why I would have ever thought, but I pulled the dipstick for the oil. Why did I do that? I don't know. Would not have anything to do with it, right? Not starting. It's like, you know, somebody says, oh, my car won't start, and they check the oil. You're going to call them an idiot, right? But I pulled the dipstick, and all the way up the dipstick is like a coffee milkshake, which means antifreeze has mixed with the oil, which means a head gasket has blown. And I can't believe it. I'm standing there, my jaw's on the ground. I can't believe it. So, to conclude what happened, what actually happened was the oil pressure gauge was flickering because the head gasket was on its way out. And I'm driving the thing 70 miles an hour, and it's running perfectly fine. I mean, it's not skipping, it's not missing a beat. But little did I know the whole time that the head gasket was going. Now, what does that have to do with a fuel pump? Has absolutely nothing to do with the fuel pump. But that's how cars are. They're weird. They do messed up things. And here I am, and I can guarantee, I would bet all my money that if that fuel pump didn't decide to just go right then, I think I could have driven that truck the rest of the way. Even with that head gasket gone and that water mixed with the oil, I think I could have made it. But for some reason, after I put the new pump in, go to start it cold, it only runs for a second and that's it. Never ran again. Would not start up one more time. The next day I tried it and I could not even get that truck. I mean, I got it to like boop, 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 like that, but not enough to even get the truck into the garage. We actually had to push it. So, right at that time, I had three, well, at that time I had two other Chevy trucks actually that I had just picked up. Well, I had the white one sitting out here that I had got that needed a few things, and I thought about fixing it and keeping it. So that was sitting there, and then I got another truck, a red one, that was complete, but it was really garbage. And I was just gonna, I was basically just taking a couple things off of it. The cats were coming off, and that was getting scrapped within a couple of days. I also had a Dodge van that I ended up picking up in a weird scenario where these kids were driving it up and down the railroad tracks in town. The cops actually had me go pick it up and scrap it so that the kids couldn't mess with it anymore. That was a big, huge mess, but I got the thing for free. It's a big Dodge conversion van. So I had that stuff sitting here. I had the 5.3 engine sitting on a stand that I had stripped out of the low mileage truck. So I had the parts, but we sat down, me and my wife, and it was time to say goodbye. It didn't make much sense. I mean, the truck had so many miles. It was pretty it was rusty in a few spots that were pretty, getting to be an issue. It did need some work, but it was still, it wasn't something necessarily that we would well, took on a trip like that, but I didn't tow with it anymore because every time I towed with it, it just acted up the next day, like it didn't like it. Ticked, lifters would tick and everything, and so a while before that, my wife had said, maybe we shouldn't tow with it anymore. It's getting old, so we didn't. We sort of retired, but it was still just a driver, and it had to step up to the plate and take me on that ride that I needed to go on to get some important business done. So we decided at that point that was it, and it gets with a certain vehicle like that and how special it is. You don't want to part it out. You don't want to sit there and cannibalize everything off of it. I mean, it had good stuff. It had a lot of new parts, but my wife said, I don't want to part her out. I just think that it needs to go as whole. I mean, obviously the cats need to get cut off. We were going to do that anyway before and cash them in because you don't need them up here. And it probably would have ran better anyway without them at that point. But so we pushed it in the garage, and I had a pile of cats from all the trucks and all the vehicles, and I said, this is where I started to get a little bit stressed out, because now I'm thinking, like, I gotta haul every one of these things down. It's an hour and 40 minutes. Let's say 2 hours one way to take each truck down there to cash in. So I actually ended up thinking about it. I talked to my guy, and he of course has tow trucks and trucks with trailers, and he goes all over the place picking cars up. So I decided to make him a deal where to see if he would come here and just get all these trucks out of here. I had 3 Chevy trucks and the Dodge van all here, all ready to go. All the cats are cut off in a pile. All the batteries were out. All the wheels were accounted for. The aluminum wheels, everything was, of course, we did take the wheels. She decided that we would sell the wheels and tires because they were really nice to somebody. Didn't make much sense to leave those on there just for a principle type thing. So we did do that, and I did pull the front brakes off of it because someone we knew, if I had known now what that person turned into, I wouldn't have done it. But anyway, at the time they needed that stuff. We made some deals, and it was in our favor. So it only took me a couple minutes. I pulled the brakes off it, pulled the wheels and tires, put some junk wheels on it, and that's about where it sat. And we took the radio, and of course my wife pulled off the emblems off of it. A couple things like that. So anyway, I made a deal with him, and he made me an offer to buy, each vehicle. And of course it was much less than I would have got if I brought them down myself, but it didn't make much sense. The fuel cost and the time it would take me, to take a car down there, it's pretty much a whole day, because by the time you leave, you go down there, then you stop, you get lunch. It's pretty much a day to junk a car for me. So it made sense for me to just sit here in my chair and wait for him to come pick him up, pay me cash, plus still get paid for all the cats and what they were all worth. So it was going to be a good payday no matter how you looked at it. A couple of the trucks, the van and one of the trucks was basically free. the other truck I paid for, and then the blue truck. So he sent a couple of tow trucks up and picked them all up, and that was it. But like I said, why wasn't I turning the camera on? Why didn't I just have, why didn't I video the trucks getting picked up? Why did I not explain, why didn't I make a video about that Dodge? Why didn't I do a lot of things? I don't know. I don't know why. To answer your question, it's sometimes you don't think of it, but sometimes you do think of it and you just can't do it, Making this video right here, it's taken me a long time. I mean, it's been months since that truck left, but right after, well, as that blue truck was sitting in the driveway with what I didn't know at the time, that it was sitting there with the blown head gasket, I was just waiting on a fuel pump to put in and carry on, every day driving it. But as it was sitting there, that's when the black truck, the 2010 that I just got, that's when that whole deal started to happen. So little did we know that the blue truck was leaving, but a 2010 was taking its place. So I sort of thought that I might have saved the day by getting that truck. Look what I got, right? So I said to my wife, you can drive this. She said, well, that's got the lift gate, and that's what you're going to use, to work. I said, yeah, but when I need it, I'll use it and use the lift gate. And other than that, you can drive it. So that's what we started to do, and it wasn't good enough. It was, she explained that it was not, it didn't really feel like her truck. Not like comparing it to the old one, but not that it wasn't nice for her to drive, but she felt as though, it wasn't something you could, put your stuff in and call your own, because, it was like, it was going to be for work, and it was going to provide, a service with the lift gate, and I was going to need it. And then when winter came, we wanted, what I was going to do while I was saving one of the other trucks, we wanted to have, for this winter coming up, 2 4-wheel drive vehicles of some sort, preferably trucks, so that way we both be driving those. That way I could park the square bodies and not have to run those through the snow. Not knowing that I was going to get a dump bed for the dually, and things happened after. It was crazy after that. After the blue truck left, there was a bunch of things that happened. Vehicles coming and going and stuff. So, not long after that, I'd like to think that maybe it's, it's still sad, that the blue truck had to go, but I'd like to think I redeemed myself, and another vehicle came that was going to be her vehicle, and it answered, it checked off all the boxes, basically. And then after that, another vehicle came, and it was just one come up after the other. The dump body came, a lot of things happened, and I will not talk about uh, the other vehicles because I want to do separate videos, and this one's going to be long as hell anyway. And so you'll have to, stay tuned and, wait for those videos. And trust me, it's going to be worth waiting for. And I'm going to do my best to get on. I feel as though this video, it had to be made before I could go on to make any other videos. There's been a large gap, with my last video. I think it was, I don't even remember what the last one was, the nice big haul I got. But it's been a little while, and sometimes people have they spotted some other vehicles maybe in my driveway. They asked about them, but maybe if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, you might have seen some things and you got some questions. Well, I'm sorry, but I felt as though this video, I had to get through this, and it was hard for me to make it, especially once I found this. It really put it into perspective that I screwed up, I messed up, and that truck deserved a proper send-off. It didn't deserve to just be thrown away like garbage and not thought about again. But it was a big part of my life, big part of our lives, and might be stupid to some to think like that about a vehicle. Some of you might just say it's just a truck, which, yeah, it is just a truck, but not to us. To us it was more. So there you go, a little memorial for the 2001 Silverado. So please enjoy a small slideshow of some pictures, and take a moment to, we'll do a little moment of silence for the 2001 Silverado, the blue truck, the high mileage hauler. Great truck.